All right, this is Jay Litton. Just let you know that we're excited today to have Jim Stroud as our keynote speaker. And I just need to let everybody know you're in for a treat. I've known Jim for I was trying to figure out actually. Jim, you and I remember we went to a Starbucks one time and just kind of said, man, how can we help people that are unemployed? What can we do to make that happen? And you came from a recruiting background. I came from a sales, I sell software. But it's like, what could we possibly do together? And, since that time, you've just shot way past me. So the bottom line is that Jim Stroud has kept on with this recruiting effort. I've kept on with my sales effort. But Jim, if somebody's looking for some expertise on how to navigate a job search, Jim Stroud would get like my highest calling card. So number one, not just having known him for a long time, but he's got a big heart and he wants to give. He wants to help folks, but he practices this professionally as well. So it's a full-time effort for Jim's part. A little bit of his bio that's kind of fun is that he's the author of a book. And think about this for a moment. The book is the #1 job-seeking book in the world. I mean, that's the title of the book. How cool is that? He's a blogger. He's a podcaster. He's everywhere. I mean, if you look at the little bit of the bio that we had on our website for Jim, I mean, I couldn't think of anything he didn't have some kind of podcast or blog or something on. And today's presentation is customized for this audience today. And so it's how to make a career pivot and find a job during a pandemic. And Jim, I don't know, I thought a little bit more about your topic and I was kind of wondering, does that mean there's going to be like another pandemic that we need to be worrying about?
I hope not. I hope not.
Either. And then, I don't want to hold you up, but I do want to let everybody know that Jim Stroud is, I would say, Mr. Job Search Entertainment. I mean, he is fun. He loves humor, and yet he loves being settled in facts that can help you propel. And in this case, pivot and find a job. So with that, I turn it over to Mr. Jim Stroud. Thanks for being with us, Jim.
Thank you, Jay. That's $20 I owe you right there for that introduction. But as always, if anyone's ever seen me speak at Rounds before, I tend to do information overload. So a lot of information here coming at you. So get ready for that. Let me start off by saying hello. Let me move some of these things off my screen. So hello, Roswell United Methodist Church. My name is Jim Stroud, and it's my honor to keep you awake for the next 45 minutes or so, give or take. If you're still awake by the time I finish, I'll entertain some questions. If not, keep your computer muted as snoring is distracting. That being said, let's move on. Now, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021, also known as 2020, the sequel. As recent events prove, this year will be interesting, to say the least. It's already starting off that way. And that's saying a lot because 2020 brought a lot of anxiety because of the coronavirus, politics, lockdowns, all that stuff. But with all that, one of the most concerning issues of 2020 for a lot of people, which has continued into 2021, is the subject of jobs. Now, where's my little button? There's my button. Yeah, now the job market has been a roller coaster rise since this whole pandemic thing started. Last I checked, the job market was trending in the wrong direction. If you're in the unfavorable position of having to look for work now, your face might look something like this. Hopefully a little bit better than my face. But while your face is looking like this, the questions in your mind will likely be, so what do I do? How can I find work in an environment like this? And if this is you, no worries, you're in the right place, because my topic today, as Jay has mentioned, is this: how to make a career pivot and find a job during a pandemic. So if you allow me, what I want to do is I'm going to share with you some of my personal job hunting rules that have served me well throughout the years of my career, and hopefully it'll serve you well as well. So that's a lot of wells. All right. Rule number one, Don't waste your time. All right. That is, oh man, that is a reason. The number one rule: do not waste your time by blindly just applying to jobs here and there and throwing it against the wall, hoping it would stick. You know, what you want to do is you want to work hard. I mean, work smart, but you don't want to work hard. So you may be thinking, Jim, okay, what do you mean by that? Well, now what I mean by that is this. First thing you want to do before you start applying for different jobs everywhere is I would suggest building a lead list of companies to target. And reason why I say that is for things like this. You can save yourself time by not looking for work in declining industries. For example, if you lived in a steel town, you know, for example, and steel was going away at that town, you wouldn't want to apply for a lot of steel jobs because you know that the steel plant is closing down, right? If you get what I'm saying there. You may say, okay, that sounds good, but how do I find these companies that are in the decline so it won't waste my time in that regard? Well, you can do a search on DuckDuckGo. I don't know if you guys know DuckDuckGo. It's a Google competitor. It's my favorite search engine. I really like it for a lot of reasons. But you get to it by going to duckduckgo.com. And oh, by the way, don't worry about jotting down a lot of these things I'm gonna share with you because I'm going to take care of you later. So I mean, take notes if you like, but when it comes to what's the website address for this, that, and the other, don't worry about it. I'm gonna send that to you through Jay. Just so you know, Jay. All right. So if you don't want to waste your time focusing on jobs that are in industries that are in the decline, do a search like this for declining industries 2020 or 2021 for that matter. And you'll get a list of companies there that you may not want to waste your time applying for. Also, what you want to do is do a search on companies whose stocks are hot. Because if there's a company with a hot stock, meaning it's increasing in value on the stock market, then that suggests that they're doing well and they're growing. And perhaps if they're growing, they may be doing some hiring soon. So you can do a search on DuckDuckGo. Again, my favorite search engine, but do this on Google, Bing, or Yahoo, or whatever. But do a search on hot stocks in 2021. Make a list of those companies that have hot stock because they may be doing some hiring soon. Also, look at this. This is really interesting too. Do a search on companies thriving in a pandemic, as I did here. I looked on a lot of these different research results just to see what they were. Some companies were overlapping quite a bit. You had your Activision and Nintendo because people are on the couch a lot playing games and all this. You had Clorox and Reckitt Benckiser, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's the sanitizer company, so they're doing good, right? Then you got your Peloton, your Publix and Kroger's, your Slacks and your Zooms, obviously, and so on. But those are the ones that's overlapping a lot, but they were not the only companies. So do yourself a favor, do a search like this, and you'll see companies that are growing and thriving in this market. And of course, those are ones you may want to target for your job search. Also, what you want to do is this. Now, this is maybe a little tricky for some. I don't know how expert you are in searching Google or searching search engines, but this is called a Boolean search, right? So what I've done, just in case you don't know what I'm doing here, in the search box, you'll see I have new funding in quotes, and then I have then I have raises or hiring, and I have that in parentheses. Then I have the word startup in Atlanta. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for search results that have the term new funding or raises or hiring because my logic is that these will be search results talking about startups in Atlanta that have just received new funding or that have raised some money or is now hiring, right? So I did this. So this is what I'm doing here. And again, I'm going to send you a link to this, so don't worry about trying to write this down. So that's what I'm doing with that. Now, the curious thing about doing a search like this on Google, even though it may be a little tricky for you, again, I don't know what your expertise level is on doing some of this Boolean searching on Google. But the good thing about doing this kind of search on Google is that you only have to do it once, which brings me to my next golden rule of job hunting, which is robots are our friends, at least in this case. What I mean by that is you should automate your searches as much as possible so that once you do it one time, you can forget about it. This is what I mean. Now, on that same search I just showed you, I scrolled down to the bottom of Google, and maybe you hadn't noticed this, maybe you haven't, I don't know. But at the bottom of a search, And this is a new, well, any search. The bottom of search is a button called Create Alert with a black arrow is pointing to. When I click that Create Alert button, it takes me to this page, right? And here, and this is a free service, just FYI, you see up here where it has my search string that I've done. Underneath the search string is the field how often. Now I have here chosen at months once a day, but generally when I do my, when I create Google alerts, I'll set it for once a week. So in this case, once a week, I get fresh leads about startup companies in Atlanta that have had new funding or are hiring or raising money, that kind of thing. So it's like, okay, I've done it one time. I like the results. Boom. Now I have it sent to me every week. And I have to do it again because it's going to come to my email every week. So I would highly suggest doing something like this. But not just this search. I have some other examples too that you may want to try. And there's my button. Yep. So I have here searches like entitled jobs and in text hiring, meaning that in the title of the news report, which I forgot to mention that. You see here, hopefully you can see me with my arrow here. Yeah, right here is the news link. So I'm doing this search on Google News. That's important to know too, because if you did it by all, then you may be getting results from 5 years ago. They're not hiring or getting new funding 5 years ago. So you want to hit on news because you want recent information, right? So in this search, I did search of entitled hiring spree. So I wanted to find articles where companies are doing a hiring spree, right? And over here are other searches that I've done as well. I'm looking for news reports that have jobs in the title, but somewhere in the article is the term hiring, which is why I have in text : hiring. And I don't want to get too nerdy, but here I'm looking for news reports that have the word hiring and the number 100 in the title. 100 dot dot, meaning 100 or 101 or 200 and so on, right? So that's what it's doing. Create jobs. This little star here is a wildcard. A wildcard function on Google, which means Google fill in the blank. So when I did this search, I'll find news reports that said so-and-so creates 80 jobs, 100 jobs, 1,000,000 jobs, whatever, right? And so on. And again, I'm gonna send you this, so you know we're about typing out just so, but just want to let you know what I'm doing there. Now, once you build a lead list, once you take into account all these different companies that are hiring, that are getting new money, that are on a hiring spree and so forth, you make it a long list of these type of these companies. Then what you want to do is you want to do this right here, what I call rule number 3, which is don't let your connections go to waste. So let's say, for example, I do a search and I find this particular company. I then go to LinkedIn and I say, who do I know who works for this particular company? Well, look at this. I know Jay. Jay works at this company. So then I will reach out to Jay, say, hey, Jay, oh, buddy, oh, pal, you guys are hiring for X. I'm really qualified for that job. Would you mind recommending me? And keep in mind, I'll say, Jay, you know what? I know your company, pretty much like every company, has some sort of employee referral bonus, right? And Jay will probably say, well, yeah. They say, well, you know what? If you refer me to this job and I get it, you get the referral bonus. I get the job. It's a win-win. If I don't get the job, what have you lost? And Jay will probably say, nothing. I say, well, there you go. Just pass my resume on if you don't mind. And Jay,
Jim,
being like he is, would say, yeah.
And Jim, this is Jay. I've actually had a couple people do that over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And although it didn't work out for either one of them, I'm still open. So let's do it.
There you go. There you go. And it costs Jay nothing. and also, you know what? A friend of mine, actually, I got this trick from a friend of mine who showed it to me. It worked for him when he got a job, and I've been preaching this technique ever since. What he'll do is, if he turns out that he does not know anybody at that company, then he may reach out to someone who is a peer to him in that company and say, hey, you like me have similar skill sets. You're at this company. They have this job available. Will you refer me over to the recruiter? Let me tell you why I'm a great candidate, right? So then the person begins to pitch their skills, not to a recruiter, but to somebody in the company in order to convince them to take their resume over and put it on the recruiter's desk, so to speak, right? And so that really worked out for them that way, because it's hard sometimes to get a recruiter's attention. But if you get another person's attention who works at that company and they have the incentive of an employee referral bonus and it costs them nothing, whether you get hired or not, they're pretty open. People tend to be pretty open because it's pretty much free money, right? If it works out. So that's rule number 3, highly, highly recommended. Now, looking for a new job doing the same old job can be somewhat limiting and somewhat frustrating if no one is hiring, if you can't find anyone hiring for your particular skill set. When it comes to job hunting, you don't have to teach an old dog new tricks. Just let the dog do the same tricks in a new area. And you say, well, Jim, that's interesting. What do you mean by that? Well, check out this article. Now, again, I'm going to send you a link to this, but this is an interesting article. It says, if the pandemic is stalling your career, here are 18 ways to pivot, right? And the crux of this article, they shared different transitions that people typically made from one industry to another, right? So if someone was a merchandiser, for example, then when they were no longer merchandising, then they transition into an administrative assistant role or a marketing manager role. If they were a store manager, then they may transition into being an office manager because the skills are similar, even though the job titles are different. Other examples they gave was if you were, so that was really, really interesting to me because I thought, okay, this is historically how people have pivoted from one area to another because they have the same skills, but they still were able to go to a different job title altogether. Now, what if you don't necessarily have the imagination to figure out, I have these skills, what other jobs could I transfer into that are different than the ones I'm traditionally accustomed to? Well, if that's the case, no worries, because you have 2 resources that you already paid for, courtesy of your tax dollars. So why not put them to use? The first of these resources is this site called My Skills, My Future. And this is a really cool site because what you do is you type in your job title, or whatever your job is, or your last job that you had. And then once you type in your job title and click the red button that says Find My Career Matches, you're going to get to a page like this that says, hey, if you're an accountant, then you could also be a budget analyst or credit analyst or a bunch of other jobs. And it'll tell you a little bit of a description of what people do in that job. It'll tell you their typical wage. It'll tell you the typical education. It'll give you links to job listings and so on. Really, really cool resource. So just go there when this is over, type in your job and see what other jobs that are pretty much you are a match for that maybe you hadn't considered, but because of what you currently are doing or used to do, you already have the skill sets to do these other jobs. Another resource that's also paid for by your tax dollars, which sort of works on a similar principle, is this site called Start Skills Matcher, right? So what Start Skills Matcher does is go ahead of myself. It'll give you this form, right? And so you basically fill out the form. You say, okay, when it comes to admin and administration and management, I'm a beginner. When it comes to biology, I'm an expert. When it comes to body coordination, I'm basic. And it has all the different skill sets. You just, click the button and choose your expertise. And then it'll say, well, based on these different criteria that you have filled out, then these are the jobs we recommend for you, right? So that's something else you may want to think about as well. So pretty cool. And again, you're paying for it, so why not use it? All right. Rule number 4 is to give yourself every advantage you can, right? And if you check out the headlines of the day, you'll know that remote working is key. That's probably not news to most of you, but just in case it is to some of you, let me share a few headlines that I thought were interesting, like this one. Computer IT remote work increased more than 50% since March 1st. You have Square, which is that company with the little credit card thing you put into your phone. Square, they allow their employees to work from home permanently, which is something that Twitter did first, and they sort of followed that lead. Now, these are big companies that have this work from home permanently thing going on. There's also what else? I think Nationwide has an initiative where you work from home. I don't know if it's permanently, but a good portion of their workforce. But anyway, there are a bunch of companies that are doing this right now. An easy way to find them is this site here called Remote Work Tracker. They're keeping a list of companies that are really focused on work from home opportunities, and they fill it out. And I think they also allow you to submit information along the lines too. So if you want to find some companies that are really focused on work from home or have a strong work from home initiative, then this is a site you definitely want to check out. And again, I'm gonna take care of you, I'll let you know where to go for that later. Also, because so many companies now are having this permanent work from home type of initiative going on, a new job is starting to emerge, right? When I see articles like this, that just keep reminding me how a lot of companies are going to just do permanent remote work, not just because of COVID, although I think that's really a big excuse that companies are using, but I think also that they're doing this because they're looking at the productivity levels of their employees, right? So they say, hey, people are working from home now more than ever, and our productivity levels aren't suffering. So why are we spending this much money on office space? So a lot of companies are looking at that and saying, hey, COVID may have been a reason why we started, but we can save a lot of money not leasing out all this office space. So that's spurring a lot of this on as well. And because of that, because so many companies now are having these permanent work from home opportunities, or they're having a big initiative around work from home, a new job is emerging that is really catching steam, and that's called a director of remote work, right? Now, director of remote work basically is someone who can manage people who are all remote, as it says. Now, Facebook is hiring a director of remote work as it's going about its permanent shift to working from home. Not only Facebook, but Quora, a company called Okta, Twitter is rumored to be looking for the same thing, and there are others out there. All that to say, the hot new jobs that's out there is remote, is director of remote work. How much it pays, I don't know, but it is what companies are looking for. So that's just something to keep on your radar. Now, if you are set up for work, hopefully you are, but if you're not, here's a list of resources that you definitely want to keep in mind when you set up your work from home process. You want to have good internet service, of course, office space, phone service, that kind of thing. But you definitely, with all the things you want to have to set yourself up to work from home, one thing that is really paramount, in my opinion, is number 6, which is why I have it highlighted there, which is reach out to the rest of the world. And I have that highlighted because it is in line with my next rule of job search, which is this: position yourself to be found. When you're working from home, depending on the work culture, sometimes you don't want to be overlooked, or at least feel like you're being overlooked. You want to make sure that you're still promoting yourself. And so that's why you always want to do things just to stay in the mind of your management if you are working from home, or if you're not working from home, keeping yourself in the eye of people who may potentially want to hire you. So how do you promote yourself in such a way that people who may want to hire you keep you in mind? Well, one way to do that is this new site. I'm just beginning to experiment with them. My first interaction with this website will be later on this week, because I saw it. I thought I was really curious about it, so I sort of check it out. Let me show you. I'm just rambling. Let me show you the site I'm talking about. All right, this site here is called Lunch Club, right? And it's really cool how it's set up. Basically, it's you fill out a profile about who you are and what you do, what you want to do, and then you type in the type of people you want to meet, And then the system will match you up with somebody to randomly have a virtual lunch with, right? So at a certain day, at a certain time, you'll get a calendar invite, say, hey, Jim, this person, Jay, wouldn't mind hanging out with you for lunch. And this is what Jay's into. This is what you're into. You guys get together here. Excuse me, have a good lunch. That's basically what it is, right? And so I don't know a lot about it because, like I said, my first interaction will be literally this week. But when I was looking at it, I thought, man, this could be a really cool way to network into a job because you can, on the site, you can do a search for the kind of people you want to meet, right? So once you consider the type of job you want, why not go through the system and see managers or people in the industry who may be in a position to hire you, and then position yourself for a virtual lunch with them, right? Makes sense, right? Right. So hopefully it does. This is a free resource. Pretty much everything I've shown you and will show you is free unless, I tell you otherwise. So there you go. So Lunch Club is a good site. Another good site is that I just zoomed by so fast. There it is. Helpareporter.com. This is such a cool site. Such a cool site. Basically, okay, so if you're a reporter and you are writing a story on fossil fuels, I don't know why fossil fuels popped in my head, but okay, it's fossil fuels, right? All right, so then you would go to Help a Reporter and say, hey, I'm a reporter and I'm doing a story on fossil fuels and the environment. If you're an expert and you have some insight into windmills, whatever, then email me and let's talk, right? And you subscribe to Help a Reporter for free, and you get a notification of these stories because you sign up for that category. You go, oh wow, I'm an expert in windmills and fossil fuels, so I'll go ahead and talk to this reporter. Reporter talks to you, you say something smart, they decide to quote you in their article, bada boom, bada bing, you're in the Wall Street Journal. Does it work? Yes, because it's worked for me many times. Look me up. You'll see me quoted in a lot of newspapers, a lot of magazines. This is just between us. But one way that happened a lot for me is because of helpareporter.com. Now, this is really cool for a lot of things. One, it's a big ego boost to say, yes, I was in the Wall Street Journal. So is that. Also, when you're in a job search or you're talking to a recruiter and it comes down to you and the other guy, right? You can say, hey, Mr. or Miss Recruiter, while you're considering these other candidates, please think about me. By the way, I've been in the media. I've been in the Wall Street Journal, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I've been featured in Forbes magazine, blah, blah, blah. And the recruiter go, wow, you must be really smart because you're in all these magazines and newspapers and blogs and so forth. And you can go, yes, that's how I roll. But the secret between us is helpareporter.com. Cost you nothing. Go check it out, right? Something else that doesn't cost you anything is this other site too that I recently come across as well. It's called Matchmaker. Now it sounds like Match.com, but it's not a single site. What it is a podcasting site, right? So if you are a podcaster and you're looking for people to interview for your podcast, then you would go to matchmaker.fm and say, okay, I have a podcast about cars. So I'm looking for a car expert. They do a search and they see you as the car expert and they say, hey, you're perfect. Will you be a guest on my podcast? And you say, sure. And you appear in a podcast, you answer the questions, you say smart things, bada boom, bada bing, you're on their podcast, and you're exposing yourself to people in the car industry, which presumably is where you want to work. This also helps in the same way to Help a Reporter helps out, because you can say to a recruiter or mention on your resume that not only do I have all of this industry experience, but I'm also a thought leader, because not only was I in the Wall Street Journal, but I also was featured in this podcast. And the recruiter go, ooh, you're in the media and on a podcast? You must be smart. The other person isn't on those places. So I'm going to hire you instead. There you go. So you can do that. Something else you can do too. Now this, it might cost money. I haven't looked at all the different platforms, but I'll throw it out there. I'll let you do research on this one. All right. which is produce a webinar, right? So let's say that you've had, I don't know, 20 years in insurance, right? Insurance is your thing, right? So you could do a webinar called 10 things every insurance expert should know, or the hot benefits of 2021. I don't know. Well, you know your industry. So something interesting that people in the insurance field would be like, ooh, that sounds interesting, right? You put your webinar together, and then you reach out to people on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm having a webinar on insurance, whatever. Would you like to come? And you send it out to people who you would like to talk to who may want to hire you, right? And so you send it out to that. You promote it on social media, pass around that kind of thing. And then you do your webinar. And your webinar is awesome. It's great. You're talking about all these great insurance things. And what you're doing is you are showcasing your expertise. You're promoting your skills. And hopefully people will look at your webinar and go, wow, that person is really smart on insurance. That's somebody I would like to hire. Huh. Let me reach out to them because of the things they said in their webinar. And even if they don't do that, once they sign up for your webinar, you can always do an email later and go, hey, Jay, you attended my webinar on the coolest insurance things for 2021. I don't know, the coolest insurance things, right? What do you think of it? By the way, can we talk about your needs? Perhaps I can assist you in your recruiting efforts, because I've been in insurance for so long. I know a lot of people. Maybe I can refer some people to your recruiters. Whatever, some kind of excuse to talk to the person. So all that, of course, is contingent of you having a great webinar and saying something that people think is cool. But all that to say, you can promote your expertise in a way that does not sound like in a way that you are presenting yourself in a way from position of strength. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. I feel like I rambled that, but there you go. Okay. All that brings me down to my rule number 6 for job hunting, which is a very important rule, which is make money in the meantime. Because if you're in a position of looking for work and you're not working, bills still got to get paid, right? Been there more often than I want to think about. So rule number 6 is crucial. Make money in the meantime. Now, there are ways that people are making money through the pandemic or through other times of economic uncertainty or recession, or whatever you want to call it. And these are some of the ways that I thought were some of my favorites, right? Okay, so one way is making money on YouTube. Now, this is not a get rich quick. This is a get rich slow, because it takes time to build up an audience and that kind of thing. But once you've done it, you can make some serious money. Now, I've always heard about YouTubers making money on with their videos, but when I looked into it, and I was like, they're making how much money? Okay, so like this person here, Lily Singh, she's making money on YouTube, and now she also has a talk show now. So I don't know. Doesn't count her talk show money, I don't think. But even if it does, she wouldn't have had a talk show on network television if she didn't not have a popular YouTube channel. So she's clocking. So YouTubers in the top 10, like her, are clocking anywhere from $11 to $26 million annually. That's a lot. I can just give me half. You don't have to give me the full amount. Just give me half of that, a quarter of that. I'll be good. But that's one way people can make money in the meantime, and to have a popular YouTube channel. Something else you can do too to make money is to have, let's see here. Where's my button keep disappearing? Come back. There you go. All right. Is to have a podcast, right? So Joe Rogan is arguably the most popular podcaster in the world. He's making $30 million. At least he made it in 2019. I don't know what he's making now. Since he did a deal with Spotify, I think he's making an obscene amount of money. Anyway, if you have a curiosity, and you don't necessarily have to have a great voice, I don't think. Just got to have compelling topics, great guests. Anyway, all that to say, I'm getting lost in the weeds. Anyway, if you can have a podcast, you can make a lot of money that way too. There is this. I don't think I have this. I don't think I included this. So write this down if you are. Anchor.fm, ANCHOR.fm, because I don't remember if I included that in the slides, but I'll throw it out there just for now. Anchor.fm, which is a free podcasting platform. that will help you create and distribute your podcast all over the podcastiverse, universe of podcasts. I don't know, whatever. So that's a cool tool. Doesn't cost anything. Check it out. Oh, this is something else too that I found that people are making a lot of money. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, yeah. But well, okay, let me show you. Let me show you. I ramble. You know how I ramble sometimes? I don't try to, but it just is okay. All right. So Instagram. Some people are making like a ton of money on Instagram, right? So this is the Instagram rich list from last year. So I look at this, I looked at some of these Instagrammers like Eleonora Pons and Summer Rae and Cameron, I look at some of these people and I'm like, okay, you're a model. No surprise. People want to ogle you. Go, ooh, you're pretty. So you can make a lot of money putting up pretty pictures up of yourself. But this guy here, Zach King, he wasn't a model. And there were other people on Instagram that were not models as well, making a lot of money, right? So Zach was basically, he was an artist. He would like draw or paint, and he would show stuff that he did that was artistic. So you don't have to necessarily be a model and go, do all this kind of stuff. Not that I'm mad, because somebody's making $142,000 per post. You see this? Hey, I want to point that out. You see it all the way to the right. Eleonora Pons, all the way to the right. She has 41 million followers who like her bikini pictures, no doubt. But she's making $142,000 per post. I mean, when she advertises something on Instagram, someone is paying her $142,000 to post a picture of something or do something to advertise their product on her Instagram. So, yeah. All right. So being a model helps. You don't necessarily have to be a model, but if you are, you can make a lot of money. All right. This is also time creeping up. This is also pretty cool too. This guy made 120 grand selling T-shirts online. Yeah. So you don't have to, flip your hair to make some serious money online. You can sell T-shirts. This guy isn't a supermodel, in my opinion. I don't know, but he's making some serious money. So that's that. So that brings me to rule number 7. Not only do you make money meantime by finding a hustle, as I call it, but you need to find a hustle that is right for you, because there's so many things you could do beyond YouTube, beyond podcasting, beyond selling T-shirts, right? And you may say, well, how do I find these side hustles, Jim? Well, you can go to DuckDuckGo, my favorite search engine again. They're not paying me for that. It's just my favorite search engine. And you do a search for side hustles, right? And when you do a search for side hustles, you're going to get a long list of search results of different businesses you can do to make money. Not necessarily just to start a business, but ways you can make money online. There's tons of them out there. This is one way to find it. Another way to find it is to go to YouTube and do a search on how to make money online. When you do that, you're going to find tons of videos explaining how you can make money doing this, that, or the other thing. I mean, the list is literally, it's endless, right? You can go on a site like this called Side Hustle Stack. And Side Hustle Stack is a website that shows you different platforms where people are making money online, doing all kinds of different things, right? So that's another one there. This is really interesting. I always tell people about this site because I just love the concept so much. All right, this site is, and again, you get links to all this stuff. Clarity is a site where it's sort of like a 1-900 number. Back in my day, people had 900 numbers. All right, so for those young people who don't know what 900 numbers are, so this is how Clarity works. All right, so let's say that you are a tax person and you want to make money on your side hustle giving tax advice, right? So let's say it's April is tax season. I do a search on Clarity and I say, I have a few questions about taxes. And so I do a search, I come across your profile, right? And it says here, you are the tax guru person, right? So then I call the Clarity system. From my phone calls the Clarity system. The Clarity system calls you. You don't see my number. I don't see yours. While we're talking, the meter is running. I'm listening to your advice at $1.99 a minute or whatever you decide to charge. When we hang up the phone, my credit card is charged and you get your fees in your bank account at the end of the month minus Clarity's transactional fees. Costs nothing to set up, and you literally do this tonight. It is so cool. So selling advice, the people there, they're selling tax information advice, they're selling sales leadership advice. If you want to be somebody's virtual friend and talk about soap operas for $1 a minute, whatever floats your boat. If somebody want to pay for it, they'll pay for it. So check out Clarity. It's very interesting. Another site that's cool too is Redbubble. Now, Redbubble, I use this myself as well. It's just really cool. Basically, you design a logo or whatever, whatever your art design is, you upload to the site, and then you're able to see what it looks like on a t-shirt or a hat or a mask or a bottle or whatever, shower curtain, and then once you see how it looks on a shower curtain, for example, then all you got to do is send a link out to people and say, hey, check out this cool shower curtain thing I designed, right? And people click the link, go, oh, that's cute, okay, and they buy it, right? Redbubble will handle the financial transaction. They will handle the shipping. All you have to do is just sit back and wait for your money to come in, and you also got to promote what you've made, right? So on your end, you're promoting the products that you've uploaded and that you've made on the site. And then once somebody decides to click on it and buy it, boom, you get paid. So no money out of your pocket. It may cost you a little time to design something, or to command the teenagers in your house to design something if they're artistic. Either way, costs no money for you to do that. Also, what you could do, which you could do along those lines, is go to Fiverr.com. Now, Fiverr is a cool kind of freelance services site. You can do a search on this site and find people that will produce a service for you for $5. It's really just a way to upsell you other stuff, right? So, for example, the t-shirt example, you could say, I want to find somebody who will design a logo for my t-shirt for $5, right? And so you find them this, and you look at their artwork and you say, okay, here's your $5 design, my logo. You get the logo, and boom, you go to Redbubble, make your money, right? Now, what happens is the person say, well, thank you for your $5 order. By the way, I also do these other things too for $10 and $20 and $100, whatever you want to do. So there are other stuff that they can upsell you on down the road, but there's plenty of stuff on there that you can buy for $5. And of course, you can also sell your services for $5. And there's a plethora of services that people are selling on Fiverr. Somebody may say, I will design your I don't know. I'll create a funny. I'll sing a song. Like the musicians on there who have a guitar. Say I'll sing a special love song to your honey for $5. Tell me something about your significant other, and I'll say, this song is for whoever, and I love you. All kinds of stuff for $5. And again, they'll upsell other stuff to you. But there you go. Check it out. In the home stretch here, voices.com. If you have a voice for radio, then you can upload a sample of you saying, hello, this is now Jim coming to you now with sports and weather, whatever. You upload that sound bite up to voices.com. And then other people who want a voice personality to advertise whatever, they'll say, oh, I like how he said that. Okay, I'm going to invite you to do a voiceover for my commercial, and you go from there. So costs you nothing. If you got a good microphone and a voice for radio, definitely check that out. This is something that's cool too. Survey Junkie. Basically, all you do is you fill out a survey, right? So somebody will say, what do you think is the best let's say Kool-Aid. They still have Kool-Aid? It's been a while since I had Kool-Aid. But let's say there's a new soda out. Let's say Snapple, right? And you say, what's your favorite Snapple? And do you like Mango Madness? Do you like cherry flavor? Do you like grape flavor? Whatever, right? Why do you like that flavor better than the others? And you fill out the survey, right? And then when you're done, they give you $1, or they give you $2, or whatever the case may be. And after a while, those surveys add up. Spend a little time to fill out surveys, but it doesn't cost you anything. So you might get some gas money out of it. I don't think you get a house payment from it, but you can might make a few hundred, spend some time there, but like I said, it doesn't cost you anything. So Survey Junkie, check that out. Something else that you may want to do is, let's see here. There we go. This is a site I use. I publish a newsletter called Black History Quiz, right? If you know anybody who's into Black History, definitely check it out, blackhistoryquiz.com. But the engine that I use for it is called getreview.co, right? And again, I'm sending you a link to all this. So how this works is I write up a newsletter every week about something to do with Black history. People subscribe and they get my newsletter. If I want to, I'm not doing it now, but if I wanted to, I could say, hey, thanks for subscribing to my newsletter. I am now charging $5 a month for my newsletter. So if you want to stay a subscriber and get my latest newsletter information, $5 or $50 a year, and you'll keep getting this in your email, forever, as long as I'm doing it, right? So not only can I create a newsletter for free, actually, I think it's free for the first 50 emails you get. After that, then you're charging. But anyway, so you can make money with your own newsletter. Is that everything? I think it's everything. No, so it's not. Okay, so this is a reminder for me. Okay, so again, although I've already said it, this slide is a reminder for me to tell you that not to worry about writing down all these different websites and resources, because I'm gonna take care of you in a second here. All right. Now here's some additional resources as we hit the home stretch, because I'm about done. This is a very cool article that helps you figure out what your side hustle should be, because you might say, Jim, I like the idea of a side hustle. I just don't know what's right for me. This article will give you some inspiration on how to figure out the best side hustle for you. A great resource that I can't recommend enough for you is The Hustle. The Hustle is a newsletter. It's a free newsletter, and it gives you articles about people that are making money with hustles. And also it shows you what's going on in the world of business from a side hustle kind of mentality, right? So if I don't know if anybody's on this list already subscribed to The Hustle, but if you are, let people know how cool it is, because I think it's a really cool newsletter. There's also a cool podcast you want to check out called The Side Hustle Show. And there you find the podcaster interviews people who have made money with the different side hustles, right? So some of these are really unusual. Like, see this first one here, this person sold 64,000 pounds of onions online and made a lot of money selling onions. Someone made $3,500 a day selling stuff on Etsy, that kind of thing. So definitely check it out. Doesn't cost anything to check out this podcast. In the beginning, I think Jay mentioned my job hunting book. Check it out on Amazon, and I'm on Job Hunting Book in the World. If you do and decide to buy it, you will have the appreciation of several diverse credit institutions and a certain mortgage company. And also, you check out my website, jimstroud.com, where I talk about the world of work, history, culture, and politics. And finally, last but not least, this is what you want to jot down if you jot down nothing else. Here is a link. If you go to this link, it will redirect you to a page where you'll have links to everything that I've cited, all the websites, all the resources that I mentioned. This one link will send you to a page where they're all listed for your convenience. So there you go. And I've come to the end, but I'm open now to Q&A if we still have time. So let me know, Jay, if we do have time. If so, I will entertain them. Are we able to send you an email? No, I'm joking. You can send an email to me at Jim Stroud. That's JIMSTROUD, jimstroud@jimstroud.com. Operators are standing by. Let's see, any other non-online side hustle options? Well, non-side hustles, I guess that would be a job. So there are a lot of different things for that. In addition to some others that I didn't mention because I figured everybody already knew about them, like DoorDash or Uber and stuff like that. I figured you already knew. But if you do a search on side hustles, you'll find plenty of them. Okay, do you have any suggestions on how to secure contract work? Okay, Maria asked me, that's a good question. Do you have any suggestions on how to secure contract work? Yeah, it depends on the kind of work that you are looking for. There are sites that you may want to focus on. I'll throw out a couple top of my head. One is called Upwork, upwork.com. Basically, how it works is somebody says, hey, I need somebody to design this web page. How much would you charge? And then people throw in a bid and say, well, I'll do it for this much, or I'll do it for that much. And the person says, okay, I'll choose you. And hopefully that'll be you, Maria. And then you do the website, and then they'll rate your work after the fact. And then the next time somebody poses work for a website, they'll say, oh, I'll go with Maria because she was rated 5 stars the last time she got this gig. So Upwork is one. Another one is called Guru, GURU.com. If you are into HR, HR Lancers, instead of freelancers, it's hrlancers.com is another one too, if you're into HR. So I would do a search also on gig work, GIG work. It's not a .com. Just do the go search on gig work, and you'll find other sites like Guru, like Upwork, that you can find other stuff like that. How to negotiate salaries. Some other reason we're a little bounced around. Okay, if you want to negotiate a salary, check out sites like Paysa, PAYSA.com, also payscale.com and salary.com, and look at how much companies are paying for a particular job in a particular area. A lot of times they'll say, on average, companies pay X amount of dollars in your city for this job. On the low end is this much, on the high end is this much. Everybody looks at the high end, of course. I'm not mad at you. I look at the high end too. But what you want to do is you want to be able to substantiate why you deserve the higher end of the salary versus somebody else, right? And a couple of ways you can substantiate your being worthy of the higher end of the salary is to say, well, I was in the Wall Street Journal. I was on this podcast. Not only am I an industry expert, I'm also a thought leader, and they'll say, ooh, you must be smart. And so that'll give you some more credibility as to why you deserve the higher salary. That makes sense? Okay.
So we're really flattered to have you be a part of this ministry, Jim.
My pleasure, sir.